And I'm not a consultant, as you can see. I'm not from SAP. Humble practitioner like you all, and I go through the same kind of pain that you go through. And I was really young and handsome before I joined this industry. Look at me now. I'll probably quickly run through the company that I work for, what kind of industry this is, and what kind of pain that we go through. And probably set the stage before I run through this exciting topic called ROI. Essentially, we are into mobile space. We are like your Singtel, part of Singtel, part of Starhub and M1. We've got three major players in Malaysia. We've got Maxis, we've got Telkom and Digi. And our revenue is around 6.85 billion ringgit, which is about 2.3 billion US. So fairly sizable organization. The EBITDA margin is about 46. I'll talk to you about EBITDA a little later because I've got major growth against EBITDA. I don't like EBITDA at all. And we've got about 11 million subscribers. We've got about 4,000 employees. Some of us are sitting here, so good to see. And again, if you see this industry, the 70% of that revenue is probably traditional. Even 70% is traditional. Voice, SMS, IDD, roaming. So these are very traditional businesses. We are into this traditional business substantially. And since we made all these investments in the past, what we're trying to do is sort of reap the benefit. And the world is substantially moving. As you all know, we've got Facebook and Twitters and God knows Zynga. So much so, the number of calls that people make has come down substantially. The number of SMSs that are going out has gone up, but the prices are also dropping. You know, on our network, on an average, we get 3 billion SMS every month. 3 billion SMSs every month. In terms of volume data traffic, at one point in time they used to use about 500 megabits. Today, on an average, they use about 4 gigabytes per person per month. So which means that we invest huge amounts of money in terms of capex. The voice, we've already made the investment, and on data we need to probably make investments. And today the pricing structure is such that it is all you can eat price. Pay me $68 per month and you can do anything you want. You know. So on the one hand, the voice revenue is coming down because of Skype, because of Google and all the stuff. My wife talks to my son using Skype, so it's not IDD anymore, and she wants to see him in person. So it happens in every place, which is kind of good. So the industry is changing substantially for us. Right? Heavy capex, heavy OPEX, and the other important point to consider for us is a concept called average revenue per minute. ARPU you will heard. Average revenue per user is easy to understand. The average revenue per minute is scary to think. The reason is today, whether it's Singapore or Malaysia, I think it's fairly decent in terms of the money that we collect from the customer, but we know that it's not going to last. We collect about 7 cents US per minute for voice. And we were in a telco conference yesterday, and in India, they are charging 0.2 cents, not 1 cent, it's less. One-fifth of a cent is what they charge. And today we're charging about 7 cents. So we know clearly that what is happening in India and Indonesia is going to happen to us sooner or later. So the question is survival. The board asked the question that if your ARPU falls to 1 cent or 2 cents, will you live? Will you survive? Again, can you think about it? And now, as an industry, there's got a combination of three clear industry play into telco. One, it's an FMCG company. whatever that happens to Nestle, Procter & Gamble happens to us. If Procter & Gamble sells soap, we sell milk. That's the only difference. Fundamentally, the segmentation of the market is very similar to that. HSBC, for example, the normal segmentation is, are you an Indian? Are you a Malay? Are you a Chinese? Are you a 15-year-old guy? Are you an 18-year-old guy? Are you a 50-year-old guy? That's the normal segmentation. That segmentation process is also going away, out of the window. Now we're looking at, is this category a night owl? Which means that this guy is awake between 12 in the night and 3, and all that he does is to download music or video or whatever it is. So what am I going to do? What is my value proposition to that particular group? Right? So the segmentation is getting to be more psychographic rather than demographic. The world is again changing. So I think one is an FMCG company, a telco. Second is it's a technology company, huge amount of technology. I can say that we had 2G and a 2.5G, the edge, GPRS, and then we talked about 3G, 3.5G, 4G, LTE, HSBB plus, God knows. And every vendor that you go and see, they say that, look, I'm the most beautiful person on earth, go buy me. So the amount of investment that we make is pretty high. The technology, obsolescence technology is also pretty high, which means that you're always sitting on a huge amount of capex, and your fixed asset is so high that if the business is not sustainable, your cost will get passed down. So it's a worry. The third, so the first is around FMCG. The second is around a high technology company. The third is, it's a manufacturing, it's a factory. The reason is this, that if you see the network that we have, we build it for 1 hour of peak load, that's it. Let's say it is between 7 in the evening and 9 in the evening. For that peak, we build a huge network, right? And utilization is not going to be constant throughout. Say at 4 o'clock in the morning, nobody's going to call. It's literally empty. And then between 7 and 9, it just peaks up. And for that 1 hour of peak, you go and build a huge amount of network. So how do I make sure that my capacity is fully utilized? So there's something known as dynamic pricing. So I'll tell you, this is very interesting, that if you are in Sri Lanka, if you go near a base station, the base station says that, look, I'm empty, and it tells you that, look, you come here near me and call, I'll give you a 20% discount. So it just comes up on your screen, say, come call now, you'll get it. So there are people who drive 20 kilometers to a base station to go and call because they get a 20% discount. And I'm not joking. It happens in India. It happens. We were thinking about introducing it there in Malaysia also, but I'm just saying that it's a manufacturing. They just want to fill it up. And the more you fill, cost is fixed anyway. So it's a combination of these three industries. Now, so the revenue is falling. It's going to definitely fall. The voice is going to come down. On data will grow in terms of volume, but we're not expecting a huge amount of increase in terms of revenue. Because it's all that you can eat, right? And if you see the penetration in Malaysia or Singapore, we are about at 120%. That means that every single person, boy, girl, student, old man, young man, they've all got 1, 2, 3 phones, whatever. So we can't cover anything more. We've covered them all. Now, what we need to look for is dogs and cats and machines. And I'm not joking. We are actually looking for dogs. It's called a dog tag. So imagine I go to somebody and say that, look, you got a dog, and I'm going to put a SIM card. I'm going to give you a contraption which you can put it on the neck of the dog. And the dog gets lost, you come to me and I'll tell you exactly where it is. And we're looking for the solution actually. So solution is going to be important for us. So it's a fascinating industry, combination of various industries into one. Inflection points are heavy. The social network is killing us. We have this concept called over-the-top players, like the Googles of the world, the Apples of the world, dictate terms. They tell us when to go to the do. Literally, they tell us exactly what to do, when to do, how much of a discount to give. And these companies are powerful. We need them, so we end up partnering with them. So just to paint a picture that, you know, great industry to be in. It's a combination. It's very complex. It's technology. It's FMCG. And by the time you go and understand your customers, the game is over. So which means that you've got to be nimble. You've got to be fast. And you don't know where the industry is heading to. Right? At this point in time, profitable, but we don't know where it's in it because there are so many technologies that are coming up. That you've got to be extremely careful. So, given that background, the concept around ROIC becomes a lot more important. And if you've seen this industry, whether it's Vodafone must have created this concept called EBITDA. EBITDA is earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization, or whatever. Right? So, and I don't like the concept. That's why I don't even want to understand the expansion of it. Because if I want to improve my EBITDA, it's very easy. All that I need to do is, if I have to fiberize, like all that I need to do is to go and put capex and amortize it over a period of 15 years, depreciation of 15 years over, and I can keep pushing it down below, and increase EBITDA margin. Right? I won't go and lease anything at all. So I think the world is now gradually realizing that EBITDA is not as important, ROIC is important, return on investment is important. So I think the world is gradually changing. And we are doing a few things very different in Malaysia, which I want to probably share with you later. I'm still on the first slide, I should move it. Okay, so the corporate goal is to enhance profitability, create value for our customers, shareholders, and employees. And if that is the whole objective, and we have so much of inflection points when it comes to technology. This is WiMAX. You know, everybody says WiMAX is going to kill the mobile industry. And at one point in time, the fixed line operators, like the Telecom Malaysia, they were very powerful. And then we took over the power from them into mobile operations. Now the fixed operators are now coming back and saying that, look, I will provide HSBB, I will provide you WiMAX, Wi-Fi across the nation. They're planning to do about 100,000 WiMAX spots, Wi-Fi spots across Malaysia. So that means if I'm a customer of a fixed line operator, I get all that seamlessly, whether I'm in a shopping mall or otherwise, I'm going to get it. And the speed is also going to be faster, which means that we are in a slightly nimble position. So how do we go and survive is the question. Now, I think from a, I didn't realize it goes up and down, but smart capex. So anytime you go and put invest capex, we spend, as I said, you know, like $1 billion ringgit, which is equal to about $330 million US every year, year after year, year after year. So we need to get extremely smart around what we want to invest. Right? Is there a way we can go and even ask the vendor to get a little more creative? Right? Who knows technology better? You know, you go to any vendor, like Oracle, HP, IBM, or whatever. They come back and say, look, my cloud is the best. Why don't you use my cloud? Right? Why don't you use this cloud to go and pitch it with your customers, whether it's SMI customers or enterprise customers? And we go and tell them, look, why don't you make the investment? Because you know technology better than us. If the technology becomes obsolete, you will be in a position to change it. I won't be. But we can go do a revenue share. So essentially, when it comes to CAPEX, we are a lot more careful. Now, anything that we invest, we are making sure that it is either to increase revenue, decrease cost, enhance customer experience, right? And it meets with a financial hurdle. If the hurdle is 35%, if the ROIC is less than 30%, we don't want to touch it. So be very clear in terms of prioritizing those CAPEX before we go and invest. Right. Now, these are business as usual, so I don't want to go and spend a lot of time here. You know, you've got to go and collect your money, you've got to pay a little later if possible, manage your inventory. These are business as usual, and all of you will do this very well anyway. But what I'm going to probably do is to tell you what we do differently. This is sleeping with the enemy. So essentially what we're trying to do is to go to one of our competitors and say that, look, can we do infrastructure sharing? It's very prevalent in India, it's prevalent in Indonesia, and what we want to do is sort of replicate that. This will reduce our CAPEX by half. right? But actually, we are sleeping with the enemy. At one point in time, network was considered to be a competitive differentiator. Now we're saying it's not. We'll probably fight in the market, but when it comes to network sharing, it is okay. We'll share this, right? And there are different models. You know, it can be a passive network share, it's an active network share, it can be a field force sharing, or it can be a transmission sharing. Transmission sharing is fiber. Instead of they investing in fiber and I investing in fiber, we putting in microwave, they putting in microwave, can we combine together? And that is happening. And that is different. So this will probably drive a much lower capex, much higher ROIC, and it will also keep us nimble tomorrow if the technology changes substantially. And the technology is going to change substantially. We don't know what is the next Facebook. Like, we don't know what is the next tablet. Is Apple going to continue to lead for a long time? We don't know. Like, because there are inflection points. Is Samsung going to be better than Apple? God knows. At one point in time, we had written off Apple as a company, and look at where Apple is today. You know, so inflection points are very heavy in this industry, and if you're not careful, we could get into trouble. Similarly, even network operating centers. We've got about 6,900 sites across the nation. Right? And who's going to operate those? And if one of those sites is not working well, there's a central place called it's a NOC, network operating center, where we find out whether a particular network site is working or not, or whether the base station is working, or whether the 3G is, we call it a node B, whether that's working or not. So we are even thinking in terms of making it common between the vendors. So it's one investment, you take care of it. We could even create a joint venture to go and manage the network, and there can be a charging mechanism based on the utilization. Okay? Pay as you use is also getting more common within our industry. Like if I have a packet core, which we originally started off with 10, and within a matter of 1 year it's become 40, and they're saying by next year it's going to be 100 gig, which means the capacity keeps increasing, and if you keep investing in anticipation of that, and if the technology changes, we're in trouble. So what we're saying is, okay, whether it's Huawei or NSN or Ericsson, we tell them that, look, you come make the investment, and as and when we start losing, we'll pay you. So there's a fair amount of work that's being done around this. Now, if you see the technology and the complexity of implementing, if you create a combined network between 3 players, 2 players, it's very complex. It's not impossible. Technology will allow you to do it. There's a technology called MORAN. I'm not saying anything bad about any one of them. Fundamentally, it's called multi-operator radio access network. It's called MORAN. And that's very complex to implement. So what we will do is to start off smaller with field force automation, access, backhaul, sharing. This is where we do, and the base station sharing. And then when it comes to RAN and the MORAN, we'll probably delay it a little more. But fundamentally, the thought process is already there to say, look, how do I go and share resources amongst the company? We signed up, sleeping with the enemy, it's common. And you can see, you know, Digi is there, and we've got Cellcom, and we've got the chairman of Cellcom, the chairman of Digi, sitting together, shaking hands. And under normal circumstances, these guys must be wearing a boxing glove, hit each other. And suddenly, when it comes to network sharing, they're there hugging and kissing each other and so on. And you've got a regulator standing in the middle to say that, look, this is exactly what we want. Now, look at it from a national perspective. Right? From a national perspective, do I need to have 5 people putting fiber? Do I need to go and buy all this equipment? Look at the amount of foreign currency export that's going to happen. You know. So the objective from a regulator perspective and from the country perspective is minimize. Like, save one company. Now, as I said, you know, the technology is changing, the social network is changing, the way we behave, the way, you know, today I'm here, within 3 seconds, people will know that I'm standing in front of you. Within 3 seconds. All that you need to do is to take a picture and just press the button called share, and it goes into your Facebook, and all your friends know. Next second, digital. And so the world is changing, the requirements are changing. And again, you know, the age bar in like between a 15-year-old and a 55-year-old is also thinning down. Surprisingly, my son allowed me on his Facebook, so I'm lucky, I guess. Technology refresh, and look at this. This is just an example of what a PC could become tomorrow. A combination of 3 pens. One pen is a projector, one pen is a little virtual keypad for you, the other one holds a CPU. So when you have this technology coming through, we've got to be very careful in terms of what we want to invest. Now, the new model that we've started thinking about is around tower company, net company, shared services. Right? If it is not your core, if it's your core, keep it. If it's not your core, if somebody can do it better, faster, cheaper, give it to them. And even if the cheaper work does not happen, it doesn't matter as long as they can bring in efficiency, outsource it. IT is a good example. And again, we learn a lot from India. And people like IBM go to companies, telco companies like us, and say that, look, okay, I'll do all the investments, don't worry about it. For every subscriber, you pay me a certain amount of money, which is pay as you grow. Pretty good. And so we are thinking also in terms of, how do I go and minimize all those. And again, as and when the technology changes, they will bring in the latest technology. I don't have to worry about it. All that I worry about is SLA. Managed services and hosted applications. This is again cloud. And these are things that we're thinking of. And how do I go and minimize the total CapEx? The normal CapEx reduction around, showing a business case, making sure that you're comfortable, you always do it. But what we're doing is to think beyond that, to see how we can go reduce the overall CapEx spend. It's a heavy CapEx spend in the industry. While managed services, it's probably not even cost efficiency, it is probably more efficient. And you've got to be very careful. I mean, it doesn't mean that everything that's not your core, you go and outsource. You've got to be careful. Because I've also seen people who burned their fingers. And one of our competitors in Malaysia gave it to somebody and they are struggling. And normally, if you go to a large MNC, they give you a book of 700 pages. And if you want to make a change, they say, page number 42, paragraph 3, you're in trouble, you're paying more. So you've got to be careful in terms of outsourcing more. I think it's very much on the card. Now, the other thing that we're doing is this, that content is going to be king. Okay. Now the question is, do I go and acquire this content and keep it with me? It's again a huge amount of feedback. What we're saying is we don't want to, we're not in that business, that's not our core. So what we do is to work with them and do a revenue share. We are a lot more friendly to revenue share these days than we were before. We're saying, okay, you have a content, you come here and I'll give you all my customers, I'll advertise for you, and if I get 2 cents, I'll give you a cent. Are you in the game for it? Yesterday in the telco conference, we were talking to a music company CEO. He says that, look, I'm willing to give it all to you on a revenue share basis. In those days, he used to charge about $5-6 million US dollars. It's not valid anymore. So pretty good that the world is also changing and we are a little more CapEx conscious than we were before. This, again, I don't want to spend time on working up a management and accounts payable. You guys are pretty good at this. Anyway. So, what impacts ROIC? I don't want to get into definitions again. We all know the definitions of it. But fundamentally, the objective is to see how different can we think outside the box to reduce your overall exposure. So, fundamentally, as long as you reduce your invested capital, as it is, working capital, managing accounts payable, and fixed assets. In our case, it's pretty heavy on the fixed asset side. And on your income, you're well off. And we've also increased in the last 2 years, we've literally tripled our ROIC. What we did, we had the new financial measures, implemented it across the app setup. We've got about 6 or 7 companies within the group. And EVA is one step above. You find out what is the weighted average cost of capital, and anything that you can get beyond the weighted average cost of capital, you're bringing in the economic value. So the measures are on EVA and ROIC. If you do ROIC, EVA is easier. That's just one more step to EVA. These are the 5 steps. It's important that the senior management commitment is there. So you've got to go and drive that. And there are companies, and